Hey, Todd here, and welcome to another Acme Machining. Today's project, we're going to check the head alignment on the lathe. I've been finding I've been getting a little bit of taper in the last few projects I've done, so I want to make sure everything's good. And what I did is I went out and I got myself a test bar. So first thing is I'm going to put the test bar between centers, make sure it's straight, and then we'll continue to run through the head alignment on the lathe if necessary. Okay, so what I've done here is I've just set this up between centers on the lathe, and I've got my gauge in there zeroed, and I'll zoom in here in a minute, but I'm just going to turn this by hand and run it along a couple spots just to make sure that I don't have any hoops in the bar, because you'd be chasing your tail if you... You guys got a little bit of glare there, so I'm just going to try to move this to a different... There, that seems good. I'm going to just spin the bar, and that needle is not moving at all. That's good. So now I'm just going to take it out, and we'll take it out of between centers and get it. It's Morse taper 5. Morse taper 5 on this end. And of course the headstock of the lathe is Morse taper 5. So right there is Morse taper 5 going into the lathe. So I'm going to take this out from between centers, flip it around, stuff it in the lathe, and start taking some measurements and just see where I'm at. Make sure the bore's clean in there. Clean off the taper, and drive her home. Zero it. It looks like it's climbed, so it's down on this end. So we are down just under 2 thou.
Where's the garage?
And we're within 1 thou there. Now I just did a sweep with it on centers with the tailstock, and the tailstock height, I'm not doing the tailstock forward backwards alignment until I'm done this, but the tailstock height is within 1/2 thou. The tailstock is actually higher, so the head is pointed down. Let's see if I can get this in here so you can see it. The head of the machine is over here where my thumb is, and this is the side view, kind of like what you guys are looking at there, and the tip of the bar is down 2/1000 when it's locked in the taper. And the top view is, if you were looking from the ceiling, this end of the bar where the dial indicator is now is 1/1000 forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this around 180 degrees. I'm going to put it back in and back in the taper and rotate it 180 degrees to make sure that it doesn't change, that there's something wrong with the taper there. So we'll check that out, and I'll get it set up and we'll be back. Okay, I'll try to keep so you guys can see that, but I've got about 2/1000 total indicator run out, and I've tried resetting it in the taper a couple times and I'm still getting the same. I think my taper in the lathe is out, because it's when I mark the headstock, it's still in the same spot. It doesn't change with the bar. So but I have done the sweep back and forth, and I'm still down on this outside end. So that outside end is down no matter what I do. And I haven't measured forward, but I'm going to measure that here in just a second. So got some head scratching, but that's what the line in the headstock is about, head scratching. Now I just took some Scotch-Brite inside the headstock, and right now I'm going to zero that out. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but I am within 1/1000 total indicated run out. Now the thing with total indicated run out is that is half of what is actually out. So right now I'm within 1/2,000, and until NASA comes knocking at my door, that's going to be good enough for me. But I zero it there, and you guys are going to go out of frame, sorry, but you'll have to trust me on this one because I can't get the camera to see over top. But I still got that 2/1000. I come up 2/1000 coming in, so I'm 2/1000 down there. So here on the end, excuse my head for a minute. I want to see this so I can set it for you guys. There's a 0. And my total indicated run out is within 1/1000. So sweep this in. And it went down 1/1000. So this end is out towards me at the controls. So I've got to come, I'm out this way, I've got to go 1/1000th of an inch down, and I got to come 2/1000ths of an inch up. So now we strip this down and get to that. So I'll bring you back. This test bar is down on the outer end, and my tailstock is 1/2,000 higher. Now what I'm going to do is I've measured across this section here, and between bolt holes I'm about 9 inches, and this is a 12-inch test bar from here out to the end where I'm measuring, and I'm getting 2/1000 of an inch down. So what I'm going to do is, because I don't want to screw up too much on my tailstock height, and that's something I may take apart in the future and look at anyway, is I'm going to put a feeler gauge right along here. Now I've had to order some up from Greg Distributors here in Calgary, and so I won't get that shipment until late Tuesday, so probably next Wednesday sometimes I'll get back on this. And I'll bring you along, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 1 thou feeler gauge in there and just see what it does to that reading. And there's 4 bolts that hold this headstock down on the carriage. So there's one, another one back here, and of course 2 more corresponding on this outside. And in the back they have a couple bolts that press up against the carriage to adjust it this way. Okay? So once I get a piece of shim in here, and I'm not going to loosen this off right now, I'm going to wait until I've got 1.5 thou feeler gauge. And my only thought is, if I pick this up 1.5 thou, it's going to put my tailstock down 1/1000 of an inch, which I don't really want to do. But I could always pick my tailstock up 1/1000 of an inch. So I'm sure there's room in there somewhere. I got to take it all apart and find out, but that's another step. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I'm thinking if I put 1 thou in here, and I've got a 9-inch span, and that is 3/4 of the length of that test bar. So really I should, if I'm 1 thou higher right here, I should be 1.25 thou higher out on the end of the test bar. And that'll put me 1/2 thou high on my, so I'm just going to start with that. I'll have to postpone things till next week, but no big deal. And we'll take it from there. So I took this off because I could see these, but all this does is mount this part of the gearbox to the carriage. I was wondering if maybe the carriage was split away, but no, it's solid from all the way over this end to probably 50 inches that way. I don't have my measuring tape right here. It's up on the bench, but I took this off just to see if I could see anything else, and I don't, so I'm going to clean this up. And it's just got some oil drip holes here that I'll make sure I put a little bit of anaerobic sealer around them so I can properly oil this thing. And we'll take it from there. So it's not really out, and this machine was, it says on the thing, I think I bought it in 2015 I bought this machine, so, and it's been good. I've just been noticing as I get better, I start to notice more faults with the machine, and I'm just want to correct them. So like 1 thou here, 1 thou there, I'm trying to get within 1 thou tolerance, and my machine is out. And the thing is, with this being down 2/1000 of an inch, what happens is I'm cutting on center here, but when I get over here, I'm 2/1000 of an inch above my center line. So that puts me farther away from the work. So like the taper that I'm getting could be just from the fact that the nose of this head is down. So we'll find out. We'll take it one step at a time and we'll get through it together here. So we'll see you next week. Well, it won't be next week. It'll just be the next phase of this video, but I'm going to run it all into one video if I can, but stay tuned. Okay folks, going handheld for a minute. Just wanted to show you. Now the way this lathe is stuck in this corner, I do not have very much room in behind it. There is a couple adjustment bolts. I am not going to be able to show you, but what I have done is there are two bolts right under the head of this. I had to take the banjo off and the gear, but that's a simple task. Everybody's changed gears. Most people's changed gears. And yeah, I've just loosened those off. There isn't a whole lot of room, so excuse me for the jiggling. There's what I do. I take my bit out of my socket, or you can just cut off a Allen key, and then I've got an 6-point socket there, so there's no slipping, and that gives me very limited. I can, like, if I had to, I could cut it down like that low if I wanted to, but it just depends on, just sacrifice the end off an Allen key like I said, and use it in a wrench. It works. Just be careful where your knuckles might hit if it slips. But I have loosened off there's one of them right there, and the other one is just out of sight here. Okay, get you zoomed back out. And there's also two of them right there, and as you can see, that really shows you how limited space there is. Okay, so what I have done is I've slipped a feeler gauge, loosened them all off. There is a couple pickup points here. Let me grab a screwdriver. There is a pickup point right here. I know they say don't use a screwdriver as a pry bar, but if you have a pry bar that small, go ahead and use it. Now one thing you got to be careful is they painted this after they put it together. Make sure you don't get paint flakes in there. You can scrape it off with the edge of your screwdriver like this if you want, or a razor blade. But I noticed when I picked it up there were some paint flakes sticking out, so you got to be careful of that because paint will screw up your measurement. Okay, so what I did is, lighting's not very good because I took the light off the back of the lathe because I thought I'd need to get in there, but there is a feeler gauge tucked in under there, and a feeler gauge tucked in here. And I don't know if you guys will see this or not, but that is a 1.5 thou feeler gauge. Okay, so back to the tripod you go. Okay, so I haven't tightened the bolts back up, and I was going to wait and get a 1 thou feeler gauge, thinking that would bring me up close to where my or the tailstock is, sorry. And I got doing the math and I figured if I do a 1.5 over my 9.5 inches that I've got between the bolts here on the headstock, if I do 1.5 over the 12-inch span, it gives me about 1.8 thou. So that's going to keep me within 2/10, which is extremely good. So I'm just going to wind this in. I can't see my viewer, so I'll have to check and see if you guys were able to watch that. Yep, it went out of focus on you. I'm going to grab my mirror so I can see. Just going to bring you around here. Now that there is very, very close. If I said I had 2/10 there, that's what my math expected me to have. It's very, very close. So I'm just going to wind this out. I'll pan you folks over here. Give you the same view as you had before there, hopefully. People that haven't done this don't realize how hard it is. To get everybody seeing what you want them to see. Okay, focus. There we go, folks. We're on 0 there. And we're just a width of a needle off of 0 there. So that is as good as I'm going to get. So I am going to tighten up those. Not going to tighten, just going to snug them. And sorry for jiggling you around, but I've got to tighten the bolt you see there. The 2 of those, just going to snug them up. And then I am going to check my fore and aft on this. I'm going to snug all 4 bolts up. Just takes me a minute. And then I will check my measurements again. Okay, folks, what I ended up doing is I ended up with a 2 thou shim right here and right back here. You can't see the back one, but trust me, it's there. And that's got me. See if I can get you guys in here. Okay, we are right on the 1 thou mark. Or not the 1 thou mark, we're right on 0. Hopefully you guys can still see that there. Roll that out. We stand right on 0. So up and down is done. Okay. That wasn't too bad of a job. The 1.5 shim, when I tightened it up, it probably crushed a little bit. There's probably some holidays in the castings that gives it room to crush in and whatnot, but it's reading 0 now, so we're going to move on and sweep the front. So, okay, now I've only got one of these snugged up fair, not 100% tight, but Trying to see if I'm keeping you in frame or not. Sorry about my head. I gotta get in here and set this to 0. Okay, so I've got that one set on 0. It's out of frame. You just have to trust me a bit. And I'm 2 thou out away from the back of the lathe. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give a bump on the headstock. I probably bumped it too far. Get my head in your way again there. Zeroed. And now I'm at 1 thou. So I'll give it another little adjustment. Worst thing with doing this is you adjust one and the other one goes out a bit. So it's just to keep on sneaking up on your opponent. I went a little too far. And I need to come back again. Still a thou. Now I'm not hitting towards the needle, I'm hitting away from the needle, so I know bouncing gauges isn't a good habit to get into, but I'm within a thou, so I'm just going to keep on bumping this until I get closer. I'll bring you back. Okay folks, we got her all snugged down and I'm going handheld, so forgive me for the jiggling. There we are. On to 0, on to 0. So,
that was easy.
Don't be scared of challenges. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to get this back together. One thing I am going to have to do here is I'm going to have to adjust my tailstock. Tailstock was half a thou high, but I picked the head up a little bit because it was nose down. So I picked that up 2 thou, and that's going to cause the tailstock to be low, but The tailstock being low isn't that big of a problem, sorry, because the split line right here, okay, you got a bolt here and a bolt in the exact same spot in the back that lets it ride on this square key, okay, and that is your fore and aft, and then there's a bolt in the back to lock it once you're all done. But what I'm going to do is, this is all held down by your locking lever that cams the shoe up underneath. So all I need to do is put shim stock in here and here, and that'll bring me up. Going down, that would be a different problem, but coming up, that's not a problem. If I had to go down, I'd have to take this off and send it to somebody that has a surface grinder to take it down a bit, but up is just going to be putting some shim stock in. So I'll do another video when I do that. It'd be a nice short one. Please like and subscribe, and keep this channel growing. Thank you very much. Have a great day.